the last in this mini-series, we'll look at how to create dominant seventh chords on the fly. One useful way of looking at a dominant seventh chord is simply as a major triad with a flatted seventh note added. If we start out once again with our G chord as a basic archetype, this is easy to demonstrate. Looking at our basic shape for G major, we have an abundance of root notes. There's a G here on the 6th string, here on the open 3rd string, and here on the top string. The commonest way to play G 7th is simply to trade this top G, which for these purposes we think of as note 8 in the scale, for the flatted 7th, which is 2 semitones down. So there's the 7th note of the scale, the flatted 7th note of the scale. But we really want to think of chords using less than 6 strings. So what other possibilities are there if we apply the same logic as we've been using the last few lessons? Well, a common approach is to drop the 5th from the chord. So we've got 1, 3, 5, there's our 5th, the open D note here, and we'll replace that with a note a minor 3rd higher, D, D sharp, E, F. And this happens to be the flatted 7th in the key of G. There's our G, there's the 7th note of the scale, flatted 7th note of the scale. Moving on to the forward diagonal of the 6th string, the task is quite a bit simpler because we have this doubled up root note here to work with, the octave G, which we can simply take down a couple of frets to the flat 7th F here. So there's our major, and lifting that little finger off, pressing firmly on the barring finger there, we've got a 4-string 7th shape there. But to be honest, I find it easier to kill the 5th string here, just mute it with that finger, and add the 5th note from the scale up here on the 2nd string at the 3rd fret, and that gives me this shape. It's a 4-string shape on the 6th, 4th, 3rd and 2nd strings. I prefer both the sound and how much easier that is to play. The backward diagonal off the A string for the 7th chord is probably one of the most useful shapes on the guitar. This is the C7 shape. Similar to the backward diagonal off the 6th string, this trades in a 5th, the G in this case, for the flatted 7th, a minor 3rd higher. The forward diagonal of the A string can follow the A7 shape. This trades in the octave note here for the flatted 7th note 2 frets down here. And I especially like this shape as an arpeggio form, because if you play it off the 5th string root here, you've got a perfect zigzag. And this provides us with all sorts of improvising opportunities, using little bits of chord, effectively shapes within shapes. Before we leave this position, it's worth looking at this alternative where we simply add our flat 7th on the top string. So there's our octave that we were using before to find our flat 7th there. Well, we've got another flat 7th an octave higher there, and we can simply combine that with that chord to produce some nice bluesy riffs. Off the 4th string root, the backward diagonal again trades in the 5th for the flatted 7th. There's our major, so we've got 1, 3, 5, and we replace the 5 with the flat 7. But in the forward diagonal, we again get a completely balanced chord because we've replaced the root note, the spare root note if you like, with our flat 7, 2 frets down there. And again, you'll recognise that easily as a D7th shape. Rooted off the 3rd string, there's really only one proper root position option. 1, 3, flat 7, again leaving out the 5th. But I would like to point out 2 more shapes to you that I find very useful that are really inversions of 7th chords played on the top 3 strings. If we go back to the C7 shape for a moment and convert our 3rd on the top string to a 5th. So we've added a 5th here really at the expense of the bottom root note, which we've simply run out of fingers to be able to keep in there. But that gives us quite a nice first inversion C7 shape on the top 4 strings. And then I quite like using just the top 3 strings of that as a chord for improvising with really. Bouncing off that sort of extra note there. Lastly, when working with that backward diagonal D string rooted shape, what we sometimes think of as a movable F shape, we have the option of taking this top root note down to the flat 7 here. Now that's not much use as a chord because it's just too big a stretch for most people, but it is quite useful when you're playing chord-based solos to better sort of throw that in. So I'm aware that I've crammed in rather a lot of detail there, but I think the main thrust of this little mini series of lessons is to encourage you to start thinking this way. Once you can think in terms of interval patterns, you're really working with your music at the nuts and bolts level. And this provides you with an explosion of possible creative ideas and solutions to musical problems. If you found this little video helpful, please click on the like button if there is one, or leave a comment, and do feel free to share the video with your friends. If you'd like to gain full access to all our guitar teaching materials, please visit the Secret Guitar Teacher site and take a free look round at what we have available there. See you again soon.